Okay. So what we do is we increase our odds by knowing where our targets are likely to be in the future. And then we set up ambushes. So like Sati, I think wants to sell pound dollar. I'm not going to spend much time on the chart because that's Sati's job. Or uses QuantBox to watch it, right? I mean, tradars to watch it. Either way, now you got to watch this. So pound dollar was the one, right? Of course, I pull up something without a pound dollar. Nice. Do this one. It's got to be a pound dollar here, right? Yeah. Okay. So now Sati's job, assuming Sati wants to sell pound dollar, is to figure out where the deer is going to be between today and tomorrow. Where are you going to set up your blind, whatever you call it? Which tree? How high? Okay. Where are they going to go? Well, I've seen them here before. And then, so you have history. So you're like, right. Um, you're looking at where they're rubbing their antlers on the sides of the tree. And you're like, okay, there's definitely activity here. Oh, you're walking through the forest and there's droppings, right? So you're like, okay, I see activity. Deer definitely hang out around here. I have a water source. I have a clearing. I have a something. Okay, great. So I'm going to set up my blind right here. Is it going to work? How do I know? I don't know anything. What did I have a conference meeting with the deer last night? So, boys, where are you going? Okay. What's your plan tomorrow morning? They don't tend to talk much. Although I've been yelled at by deer. I have so many deer on my property that I almost ran one over like last week. Pinned it against my mailbox. I mean, seriously, I have floodlights on the back of my Porsche, so when I back up, there's floodlights because I might hit an animal. And in this case, I'm right on the driveway, right behind my truck. I see the whole thing, and its eyes are staring at me. And of course, it's not going to move, right? Right. So, anyways, so I see them all the time. So now what? Okay. Now I have my setup. I don't know where they're going to be in the future, but I know where I'm going to set up. I've made the decision. I've looked, okay? I've looked. So somewhere like there I'm interested. Okay? Good. Okay? Now I might have missed it. Maybe they came around the area, but I don't have a clear shot. They're too far away. If I'm shooting with a bow, an arrow or a bolt as it's flying through the air could hit one branch and go ching. Okay. Thunder chickens. Oh my God. We had a turkey run past my house when I lived on my other property. There was a big clearing there where I built a golf course. Um, and my son sees this turkey. He's got to be, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 years old. I don't know. I don't like kids, so I don't know the age. But anyways, young. He was young, and we just had Thanksgiving, and we see this turkey, and he's like, he's gonna go kill it. So he's got like pots and pans. Oh, he wasn't gonna kill it. He was chasing it away. He so he was out in the forest with pots and pans yelling at it too. Boom, 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 go away. Boom, 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 boom. Which is, I'll never forget that. It was just so funny with pots and pans. And the turkey's like, right? Anyways, pretty funny. So I don't know if the deer got spooked. I don't know if the deer are just not going to walk up here today. I don't know what they're going to do. They can do anything. There's free will. I don't, in this case, we're talking about buyers and sellers of pound dollar. I don't know what the news is going to be. I don't know what the flow is going to be. I have all these analytical tools on QuantBox. Yeah. And it does say, look, you're probably better off focusing on a plan in that direction. Okay, cool. Well, it's on the higher time frames. This seems like a pretty reasonable place. So I set my blind up there, and you have to be comfortable with the fact you might not get a shot. Even if you see the deer, you don't have the pattern. Now it's tradable, right? And I'll pick on Boris because Boris earlier said, "Well, Tradars doesn't have a short or right, but he shorted and made money. Good, like that'll always happen, right? Like you can do this, that's fine. But if you've planned this, you also have to be okay where you don't get the trade that you planned. Oh, I see. Okay, Boris. But okay, but you still help. This is why I like commentary. So don't I did, it wasn't a slap or anything, Boris. Okay, you're saying it didn't produce, but to some, Boris, 15 pips is a scalp, right? And QuantBox actually does that. So those that have the super, super, super upgraded version, and I keep saying QuantBox of Tradars. So you get the plus version of Tradars, and there's even an upgrade to the plus version that only those guys are offered, and it's where it looks for correlated trades, and pretty neat stuff. It's really good. So it looks at trade setups where traders has multiple time frame setups or multiple pattern setups. So the same asset class has three things that say sell. Okay, those guys are alerted to, but very often they're only they're a minimum of 20 pips. So to me, 20 pips is like a scalp. I wouldn't get out of bed for 20 pips. But if you're sitting there, 20 pips is 20 pips. But very often that leads to something longer, right? And so you're saying, okay, you looked, you took a trade, it didn't produce much, you made a small profit, but in traders, like there's no pattern, which is good. Like, and so I'm just following up, like, just because it falls doesn't mean you should be on it. What I'm trying to say, Boris, and again, thank you for the comment because it helps me say the thing I want to say. If you haven't planned it, it doesn't exist. So if you see moves like it fell, if you can't predict it, then it doesn't exist. And if you didn't predict it, but then you trade this because it takes off, you're doing yourself a disservice. Now you're training yourself to trade after the fact late and on things you don't even understand. But you're like, so why did you sell pound dollar? I don't know. It started falling. Really? That's not the type of trader you want to be. It's more like, why did you sell the pound dollar? Well, I looked at QuantBox. I did comparative analysis of macroeconomic data, for long term, for a long term bias, fundamental bias. Then I did my technical analysis, and in something that is statistically a bearish trend, I sold a pullback high at resistance when it rolled over. That's what I want for you. That's how you use these tools. Now, the cool thing, and we talked about traders again, the other way of doing this, okay, like I prefer to do it this way where, I analyze this chart and I say, I sell high at resistance and maybe it's even lower. Like this R1's okay, but this M, okay. So this is me analyzing, saying like there'll be at least one more up and then probably a down. So I want to be ready for that. That's one way. But remember, now I'm limited because I'm a human. I'm basically looking for one pattern. And I become biased on that. Why? Well, I have sort of historic bias where I just know what I like to trade. I know what works for me. I know the setups that have produced. So I could see kick it off the 21. We have another update, but then we hit this and we get some profit taking. And then I can probably sell in here and look for a change in direction and maybe kick it off, next week or next month's pivots. This is how the Wayne do. But I only know my 20 years of history, and it's full of bias. Oh, I don't like the pound. I used to have a coach. He used to say, I don't trade the Canadian dollar. Why? He called it yo-yo. I'm like, "What? You don't trade the Canadian dollar?" "No, it's a yo-yo." Like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, it's up and down. I make money, lose money, make money, lose money. I don't trade it. It's not tradable." I'm like, "No, you suck at trading CAD. Don't blame the Canadian dollar, but improve. Use that as an opportunity. Like, how could you not trade one major currency because it's bad? It's not bad. Okay. But you see how like biases form. If you kept losing money trading the Canadian dollar, well, then it must be the Canadian dollar's fault, right? Um, so what could we use that does perfect technical analysis every time that never makes a mistake and it has no bias? It simply looks for bullish patterns and bearish patterns on multiple time frames. Well, that's what traders does. So now I can expand this and I can say, really, this whole zone, I can expand my zone because basically I can combine my plan A and my plan B. I'm like, okay, if it did roll over here, I get it. There's resistance here. I get it. It's R1. I don't really care about R1 that much. Okay, but see, again, these are all my biases. A machine doesn't give a two hoots about that. And then the other thing is, okay, the combination of monthly and weekly for me. Okay, if I was looking for a sell on this pair, yeah, I'd consider that up there for sure. In fact, that's preferred because of my experience. Well, sometimes my experience isn't even accurate. Again, when I studied law in the 90s, I took many law classes, administration of justice classes. I was actually accepted at the DA's office for an internship. Like, there was a time I was going to be a lawyer too, an astronaut, a lawyer, right? And then I turned out to be a male model. Hey, it was the best opportunity. So anyways, I have all these biases. But if somewhere around here or somewhere around here or anywhere in between, you have a technical analyst with no bias. Okay. Now, Boris says, yeah, if you simply follow what Tradar says, you'll lose quite a amount. Yeah, of course. It's technical analysis, right? And it produced 70% returns. I would it would make me a billionaire, right? It's the holy grail everyone's been looking for. It's just gonna make me money 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, and, my YouTube videos will be changed on to over to, like, my Lamborghini collection, right? Right? Rick's saying it too, right? Like, and this is why I'm very careful. And remember, I'm building the culture of this organization. And now we're talking about traders again. I don't know how to got over there. But anyways, it's I have all these notes. I have a leather bound book full of notes that I'm writing and I'm building the process. I'm building the tools. I'm building the language. With your help, I'm building a culture of it's not an alert service. I hate alert services. I have, right? I don't do things like tradars because people use it as an alert service. And I hate that idea. So I have to build a whole culture and all the language and everything around this idea that it's not. Okay. Now, going back to using QuantBox, because again, QuantBox is just doing quantitative analysis. It doesn't have an emotion, it doesn't have a bias. So if I get QuantBox tells me pound dollar short, I could take that at its word. Now, I'm an economist, so I built all these things to have logic. But quoting Tommy Boy, Tommy said, You right? You can get a good look at a T-bone by shoving your head up a steer's ass, but I'll take the butcher's word for it. I'm so glad I got that right. It's so funny. Um, all right. So, anyways, QuantBox is like, dude, I got 9 reasons why you should sell pound dollar. Okay. That looks like a good T-bone to me. Okay. And then you go tradars and you sit here and you wait. And then suddenly, somewhere, right? Somewhere in this zone, tradars is saying, oh, there are confirmed bearish patterns developing. Okay, bearish patterns developing or bearish patterns confirmed, because you'll get both depending on your membership level. Game on. You have perfect fundamentals and perfect technicals, but you'll have to wait and do the job. But the thing is, you're going to learn through that. Like if you know how to trade and you've done all the training courses, and I assume you have, then you'll learn amazing fundamentals from QuantBox and you'll learn amazing technicals and you'll use them as amazing tools. And hopefully you have an amazing improvement. Okay. And like, I'm assuming your, let's say your win ratio, if you're truly patient and disciplined and you set things up like this over, let's say 200-300 trades over time, I'm sure your win rate will go up 30%. I can't imagine how it wouldn't if you've developed patience and discipline, solid fundamentals and solid technicals. If that doesn't help you improve your win rate by 30%, then I don't know if this is a gig for you, right? This much solid data, yeah, there's got to be a minimum of that, right? Yeah. So, anyways, super cool. But you're right. If you just turned your brain off and traded every pattern that traders does, sorry, I don't know if it's going to work. And also remember, radars are developing, they're emerging patterns. Many of those patterns don't fulfill. There's two parts of traders. There's ones that are emerging, they're radars, and then there's an active tab where these are the ones that are in play. They've actually worked, and now you have management to do. So many of the emerging forming patterns fail. That's why you just blindly traded everything, right? Like not every, like put it this way, and then I'll end it because I've gone too long. Okay. Tell me, what's going to happen next based on your experience and technical analysis? What kind of pattern is forming here? Anyone want to take a guess? What would you think? See, we have a broken trend, right? A crown or a head and shoulders. Okay. So traders might say something like this, and it might label it. Sometimes it does labeling A, B, C, and the B is based on the shoulder, right? Cool. So that's happening. So should you be ready? A and B. Now here you have an A to B scalp and a B to C swing. So which one are you going to do? Okay. And then of course, what actually happens could be different, right? Where it ends up moving sideways for a while or up. What's the difference? Well, this might be setting up on a 15-minute chart, but the 240-minute chart is still predominantly up. but you have a potential reversal pattern on a 15. Well, once again, you have to decide, is it a scalp or a spot or a swing? You still have to make decisions, but nonetheless, it spotted a potential head and shoulders forming. And so now you should already have your trade plans on whatever you're trading, and you look at it like, oh, that would work good for me, or that would not be favorable for what I'm waiting for, and it's either an opportunity or a threat. Good. Make a decision and react accordingly. Okay. It's like sending out 12 guys on patrol to make sure there's no bad guys going to attack. You have to probe and probe and probe and probe and probe. So TradeRs just happens to probe 7,500 charts at the same time. Cool. So I got to go, man. Look, that was way too long. I apologize, but I will see you, I guess, at Forex today in like 15 minutes, huh? Yeah. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May our profits be above average. Have an amazing, wonderful day full of pips and happiness and joy. Nothing but sunshine. Unless you live in a desert, then rain. Cheers. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May our profits be above average.